Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Tom Replogle, and today we're going to be talking about a new feature that just made its way into the Nikon Z9 with Firmware 2.0, and that's recall shooting functions. What it allows you to do is switch really quickly between settings. So for example, let's just say we're out shooting a landscape and we've got our lens stopped down to maybe f11, f16. We've got a longer shutter speed, we're at our base ISO, and all of a sudden some wildlife comes into the scene. Before, what I would do is fumble trying to change my settings with the dials and everything. But with this new feature, I can just press one button and it'll automatically switch me into whatever I have it set to. In my case, I'm going to have it set to a faster shutter speed, wide open aperture, and auto ISO, among other things. So today what I want to do is show you how to set it up, and also there's some things you got to watch out for, and I'll throw those little tips in at the end as well. So let's dive into the menu. Select the menu button, drop down to, since we want to assign this feature to a function button, we want to go ahead and drop down to Custom Settings menu and go down to Controls, which is F. And we want to go to our shooting custom controls, so F2. And from here, you can select whatever function button that you're going to assign this feature to. For me, I'm going to use function number 2, and then I'm going to hit OK. And what I want you to notice on this page is that we've got two recall shooting functions. This top one, you have to press and you have to keep the button held to maintain those new settings, those recalled settings. That might work in some applications. For my application, I just want to press it once, switch to those settings, and then when I'm ready to go back to my landscape settings or whatever, I press the button again. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the hold and the one that has hold in parentheses, and then go ahead and hit the right arrow. So on this page, we have all of the settings that we can modify. We can turn these settings off by pressing OK, and that'll uncheck the box next to them if you want. The default is to have them all checked, and so far that's pretty much how I think I'm going to have mine set up. So we've got shooting mode. By hitting the right arrow, you can go in there and you can select whatever mode you would like. For me, I want to keep it in manual, so I'm going to have that set. You can change your shutter speed. For me, I'm using it to go shoot wildlife. I've got it set to 1/1250th of a second. Now, that doesn't mean I have to stay there. I can toggle it, and then it'll go to 1/1250th, and then I can make a fine-tune it from there if I need to. Aperture, you can have that set to whatever you need. I've got, I don't have anything faster than 2.8 with my Nikon kit, and I just have f2 selected. It doesn't really matter. I could have 2.8. Essentially, I just want my lens wide open, and so like right now I have an f4 lens on. It's the 24-120. So since I have it set to f2, when I toggle the function button, it's going to just go to the wide open setting for your lens. So in my case, it'd go to f4. Maybe there's an f2 in my future. I don't know. Exposure compensation, I have that set to 0. You can modify it as you need to. ISO settings, I've got it set to the base with auto ISO on. Metering, 3D matrix, you have all the other options if you want to utilize those. White balance, I shoot raw, so it doesn't really matter. I can always change that in post, but excuse me, sorry about that. This natural light auto seems to work pretty well. All right. And then autofocus area mode, 3D tracking, works awesome for wildlife. I was shooting some bald eagles and it was absolutely amazing. So I've got 3D tracking set up, and the autofocus subject detection set to, of course, animal. I could set it to auto. It goes in priority from people, animal, and vehicle. Usually in my landscapes I don't have people, but sometimes I do. So I just want to make sure that when I toggle this, it's going to track any, it's going to focus on the animals. And then let's see, focus tracking with lock on. I've just got it set to the default of 3 and steady. And then release mode, I've got 20 frames a second. So once you've got it all set up, go ahead. You want to hit the menu button when you're done, and then you want to press the menu button again, and now you're good to go. So I'll go ahead and switch over to the EVF, and you can see right now I've got like a good landscape, settings. I'm out there. I'm stopped down to f16. I've got ISO 64, so my base ISO, and maybe it's getting dark and it's darker and it's 13-second shutter speed, or maybe who knows. And so all I have to do, let's say I see a bird come into the frame and I want to capture an action shot. All I have to do is press F2, and bam, I'm wide open, 1/1250th of a second, 16,000 on the ISO. It's cranked up there, 20 frames a second, 3D tracking in animal mode. So, man, that's pretty cool. Now, one thing I want to caution you on, I'm going to go ahead and toggle this back. Hopefully, yeah. All right. Hopefully you can see that all right. So what I want to caution you on is if you are still using AFS, so single servo autofocus, okay? Most photographers or Nikon shooters that I know that have switched to back button focusing, they no longer use AFS. They use AFC, because then with the shutter button and focus not co-located, AFC kind of works like AFS, if that makes sense. But if you are shooting in AFS and you've got recall shooting functions set up for 3D tracking with, animal subject and all that good stuff, when I press the function 2 button in this case, let's watch what happens. Everything changed except for the 3D tracking, and it didn't go into animal detect. And the reason is because I'm in AFS. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle back. I'm going to go to AFC. I'm going to toggle it again, and you can see it went in there. So if you are still using single servo autofocus, just be careful about that. Maybe kind of research back button focusing. Because otherwise you're not going to get what you expected. I'm not sure why Nikon couldn't have made it automatically switch to AFC. It seems like they should be able to do that, but anyways. The other thing I want to show you is that, so your settings, you can modify those. So when you've recalled your settings, so I'm in 1/1250th of a second, let's just say I want to increase my shutter speed a little bit for whatever reason. And I toggle off. When I toggle back on, it's going to remember that setting. And in fact, when I hit the menu button, I go over to controls and shooting and select recall shooting functions, check out that shutter speed. So whatever you modify, when you've recalled your shooting functions and you've modified it, you're actually modifying what's getting set in here too. So that can be good and that can be bad. So you just have to be aware of it. If you did like this video, please hit the like button. It would help me out a ton as a new YouTuber. And if you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe. I've got a bunch planned, and I'm working really hard to improve my video quality. My last trip to Terlingua, I lost footage and it didn't turn out very well, but I promise I'm going to get better at this. So anyway, give me some comments down below. Let me know what you think, what you'd like to see come to this channel. And anyways, happy shooting. I'll see you next time. Bye.